This is how we say, good job.
Capcom has been on a bit of a hot streak in recent years, but Pragmata is something wholly new for them. Its reveal way back in 2020 featured a cryptic tone and dystopian NASA punk aesthetic that immediately caught my eye, being unlike anything we've seen from Capcom's previous works. Now, after a few years of uncertainty and delays, Pragmata is finally in our hands. But with no attachment to an existing series, can something this out there stand tall alongside the studio's other great games this generation? Let's find out.
There you are. All better.
It's become somewhat of a trope these days for modern AAA games to feature a strong parental figure paired with a quirky child companion in the leading role. Pragmata's take on this features our main protagonist Hugh, a spacefaring researcher whose team is suddenly wiped out while exploring a lunar research station, teaming up with Diana, a whimsical childlike android of mysterious origin who has a knack for hacking her fellow bots. The two set off to help Hugh find a way back to Earth, while navigating the lunar research base and overcoming the hostile, yet polite, AI antagonist Edis, who oversees the base's security. Despite the pairing appearing a bit cliché, the duo of Hugh and Diana never overstay their welcome. In fact, they're actually the highlight of the story. The lively banter between the two always remained charming, and even helped to brighten the contrasting cold and isolated locales you explore throughout the game. Pragmata at its core is a story about isolation, nature, and what it means to be human. Having spent her life on the moon surrounded by lunafilament, the game's synthetic matter that makes up much of the environment and life forms throughout the research station, Diana is enthralled by Hugh's tales of life on Earth and human civilization. Their dynamic and growth together is equally as poignant as it is heartwarming to watch unfold. While the duo of Hugh and Diana may be enough to entertain and enamor most players throughout the game's runtime, I can't help but feel that the overall story left me wanting just a bit more. Since the game's announcement, Pragmata appeared to give off the sort of experimental tone only seen in the likes of gaming's most bizarre yet profound entries. The game's delay announcements and demo weren't afraid to break the fourth wall.
Hugh, I don't think you can get home from here. Because this is just the demo.
And combined with the game's dystopian setting and eerie mood, I was prepared for a mind-bending thrill ride akin to the works of Hideo Kojima or Yoko Taro. In actuality, the game's narrative is fairly straightforward, and at times, even a bit predictable. That said, there's still plenty of love and care poured into Pragmata's narrative, and even its most basic elements are sure to tug at players' heartstrings.
I'm counting on you, kiddo.
Roger that.
Any lack of experimentation I saw in Pragmata's story is made up for tenfold in its gameplay. As Hugh, you'll engage in third-person shooter combat with numerous killer androids around the lunar base. Unfortunately, Hugh's bullets barely leave a dent on their own. That's where Diana's trusty hacking skills come into play. As Diana, you'll solve mini hacking puzzles in real time to open up enemy weak points for Hugh to dish out serious damage. While the shooter genre features a wide variety of games and subgenres in the modern day, the controls for most of them have remained fairly consistent. Shoot with the right trigger, maybe aim down the sights with the left trigger, and then distribute some combination of reloading, weapon switching, jumping, and crouching or sliding among the 4 face buttons. Pragmata dares to shake up this formula by utilizing the 4 face buttons almost as a second D-pad, with which you'll navigate Diana's hacking puzzles while simultaneously moving and shooting with Hugh. The result is an incredible hybrid of genres that will have you constantly on your toes with each enemy encounter as you manage puzzle solving and combat at the same time. The combination of Hugh's heavy suit, the research station's gravity, and having to carry Diana on your back limits your movement options in combat considerably. However, you'll find that most enemies you encounter aren't all that light on their feet either. As such, combat creates a satisfying juxtaposition of slow and calculated action on screen, matched with split-second decisions and reactions internally as you race to finish hacking puzzles while keeping an eye on enemy positions and status conditions at the same time. It's a constant juggling act that felt both fresh and familiar to me as I dove deeper into its mechanics. The game does an excellent job at introducing new enemy and weapon types to the combat at just around the same time you start mastering previous ones. Hugh's weapon system is divided into 4 different types of items you'll have to switch between in order to be most effective in battle. You have your standard blaster with infinite ammo as your main weapon, alongside one attack weapon, one defense weapon, and one tactical weapon. Use tactical weapons like the decoy generator to distract enemies, then trap them in place with defensive weapons such as the stasis net. Use this opening to hack away with Diana, and then finish the job with one of your hard-hitting attack weapons like the shockwave gun or charge piercer. This weapon synergy is a blast to mess with, and mastering it will greatly aid in your ability to take down foes quicker without expending too many resources. Hugh doesn't get to have all the fun on the weapon front, as Diana also gets an arsenal of unique hacking skills to boost her abilities and change the tide of battle. By navigating through ability tiles when solving hacking puzzles, Diana can inflict status conditions on enemies that can range from lowering their defenses to confusing androids into attacking other enemy bots. Both Hugh's guns and Diana's hacking skills do have their limits though. Aside from Hugh's default gun, all other guns as well as Diana's hacking skills can be depleted quickly in combat. It's important to manage these resources carefully in fights and constantly be on the lookout in the environment for weapon and skill replacements scattered around. Pragmata's combat offers plenty of challenge on standard difficulty, and if you're not careful with your resources and loadout, you may just find yourself on the wrong side of a game over screen a time or two. You can customize your loadout in the cabin area, a rest spot with a friendly host that you'll be frequenting throughout the game. Here, you can use your resources you find through exploration and combat to upgrade weapons, hacking abilities, and other useful exploration skills for Hugh. If you're into collectathons, you're sure to be over the moon for Pragmata, as environments are littered with upgrade parts and decorations hidden behind puzzles for you to collect and bring back to the cabin. Combat, collection, and customization are the meat and potatoes of Pragmata's gameplay, and are likely where players will find the most enjoyment. Outside of that, the rest of Pragmata's gameplay boils down to one consistent loop. Solve a puzzle, open a door. For exploration, Hugh's suit allows him to hover and dash, giving you greater mobility in both combat and environments, which can make for some creative platforming puzzles when fully upgraded. While a bit repetitive at times, it was actually a little refreshing to see a modern AAA game take a more linear approach and utilize the classic formulas of games like Zelda and Okami. That said, if opening doors to get to areas where you open more doors isn't your thing, you may be in for a bit of a slog. Overall though, Pragmata's gameplay showcases Capcom's creativity and ability to make fun gameplay loops. It's simple yet deep and takes me back to those GameCube and PS2 days in the best way possible.
Over there!
Not again.
Undeniable the amount of soul that went into Pragmata over its long dev cycle. Environments are beautiful and surprisingly varied thanks to the aforementioned Luna filament, which is used to create stunning locales such as a city resembling Times Square or a massive tree housing science labs teeming with plant life. Each location made of Luna filament is both captivating and haunting at the same time, as they all maintain the game's sense of isolation. While beautiful on the surface, as you explore more, you'll notice some areas with a bit of an uncanny valley look to them, almost evoking imagery similar to that of early AI image edits that don't quite sit right. It's an awesome stylistic choice and an incredibly timely element of the game's presentation in today's age, I'd say. Aside from the environments you explore, the cabin also adds to the game's presentation, allowing Hugh and Diana's chemistry and charm to shine. As you collect Earth relics to be displayed in the cabin, you'll be treated to some adorable interactions with Diana as she learns about humanity and their many fun forms of recreation. These brief interludes are a delight to watch and engage with, even featuring the ability to play hide and seek with Diana. Yeah, she's trying her best. It's these small moments that really carry Pragmata and help to break up the action. For this review, I played Pragmata on the Nintendo Switch 2, and in terms of performance, it's a bit of a mixed bag. On one hand, it's an absolute marvel being able to play a AAA game like this on Nintendo Switch 2, especially in handheld mode. The visuals and environments held up fairly well, and the frame rate even appeared to target 60 FPS in both handheld and docked. While smaller locations such as the cabin were able to hit 60 FPS fairly regularly, as the game opened up to more massive areas like the Times Square stage, the frame rate became much more erratic. Combat with numerous enemies also saw the frame rate take a dive, but thankfully none of it was too hindering to the gameplay experience. It's a great mile marker for how far the Switch has come, while also being a reminder of how much further it has to go compared to its contemporaries. Other features included in the Switch 2 version include gyro controls for aiming, as well as amiibo support, Unfortunately, I don't have access to the Diana amiibo to test its functionality, and my testing of other amiibo yielded no results, even with Capcom characters like Mega Man. Pragmata is a truly unique offering from Capcom. Its quality absolutely lives up to the stellar reputation the company has built in recent years, providing fresh and fun new gameplay experiences wrapped up in tried and true gaming formulas made popular by its predecessors. Unfortunately, its fairly safe and straightforward story isn't quite as refreshing or interesting as the gameplay. While it couldn't quite reach mind-blowing status for me, I still loved my time with Pragmata and would absolutely recommend giving it a shot. That's going to do it for me. Be sure to subscribe to GameXplain for more Pragmata coverage and gaming reviews. Ciao, guys.